Welcome back. 3 House Republicans have helped thwart a White House push to block lawmakers from voting on resolutions designed to object to the president's emergency tariffs. The procedural measure failed 217 to 214. Last night, the GOP defections came despite the White House and Speaker Johnson's attempts to contain GOP unrest over the administration's trade war. Among those who voted with the Democrats and flouted the Speaker's warnings, California Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley, good friend of the program, who joins us now from just off the House floor. Congressman, good to see you once again. Why did you vote against this measure?
Well, ultimately, this was an attempt by the House leadership to take power away from members. Under existing law, it is the prerogative of any member of the House, at the very least, to be able to bring up a particular tariff under this statute for consideration, to debate it, and for the House to weigh in. And the leadership was using this very bizarre accounting trick to try to prevent that from happening and to keep this power for itself. So that first and foremost was a big problem for me, is this attempt to reduce the power of members of the House. And then this is also, just authority that the House of Representatives has under Article 1 of our Constitution. And I think that, it's important in our system of checks and balances that we protect the powers that belong to our branch of government.
Well, the underlying issue is this idea of voting against or in opposition to the president imposing tariffs on Canada. That vote is scheduled for tonight. How are you going to vote?
Well, I'm looking at that one closely, and I think that you're likely to see a number of people who object to this on both sides. I think that that's not necessarily going to be the case for each and every one that's considered, though. I think that each presents its own arguments for and against, its own nuances. And so, the point of my decision yesterday was that we should have these debates. Let's have the discussion. Let's do so in front of the American people. That's what, representative government is all about.
So wait, are you a vote no, hope yes kind of guy? Or what on earth could you possibly still need to know with a vote just minutes away about whether or not to vote for or against tariffs on Canada?
Oh, no, I've decided how I'm going to vote. I'll be going out and voting in a few minutes here, and you'll see how it goes. But this one, I will say, is a little different than some of the others because we have an existing free trade agreement that exists with our neighbors to the north and the south, which I think makes the 35% tariff here a little more problematic for folks. But if we get other tariffs across the world that come before the House, I think that everyone's going to look at each one a little differently. But I think that's a good thing. That's the virtue of the House of Representatives as a body, is we can all bring our different perspectives and values to bear and have the debate.
I see where you're headed on that one. You are also a member of the House Judiciary Committee, so you spent a good chunk of the day engaged in the hearing with the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. What, if anything, did you find helpful about today's exchanges?
Well, there was a lot of topics covered, and the Department of Justice has a huge jurisdiction. For me, I focused on how can we, resolve this big debate we're having in this country right now when it comes to immigration enforcement. And so I have suggested that there are some reforms that make a lot of sense, that have support on both sides of the aisle, that can form the basis of a deal. But those reforms have to go hand in hand with more cooperation between the local and state and federal authorities. And where you're seeing big problems develop and things get out of hand is in those jurisdictions that refuse to honor what are called detainer requests, for example, where you have someone who's here illegally and has committed a crime. Ordinarily, they just get handed over to the federal immigration authorities in a custodial setting. But you have some jurisdictions that refuse to do that are releasing them into the community, and then that creates the need for a much more disruptive form of immigration enforcement.
But the shouting, the evading of questions, the reclaiming of time, for the uninitiated or those that only watch this from afar, is that the way to hold a hearing?
It's not that unusual to have this sort of, confrontational back and forth. We saw it a lot during the Biden administration with some of the cabinet secretaries there, and we've seen it here. And, there is an inherently adversarial nature to this. And I know people watch this and they say, well, why are you interrupting all the time? Is that a little rude? But then you only get 5 minutes, and so you kind of have to. It would be nice if we could have these hearings take place with a somewhat higher level of decorum. But, when you're talking about issues that people feel passionately about, then sometimes things do get a little tense.
Real quick, the Supreme Court, of course, has upheld California's redrawn congressional map. Means your district's being split up into several different parts, and you've been going through, at least on X and in exchanges back home, explaining to people why you're not running in certain parts of your existing district as it's been cleaved off into new ones. Are you any closer to deciding which one you will ultimately seek re-election in?
Yes, I am pretty close. So, for those who don't know about Prop 50 in California, this brought gerrymandering back to our state. I'm against gerrymandering wherever it occurs in any state, but be that as it may, my district has now been cut into 6 different pieces. And so I can, of course, only run in one of them. And so I've been trying to figure out what the best path forward is and making this kind of impossible decision. So I have narrowed it down to 2, and we have until March 4th in California to make a final decision.
All right, so you got a few more weeks. Let us know or come back to us once you have made that decision, and we'll talk about it. Kevin Kiley, Congressman from the great state of California. You got a busy night ahead. We appreciate you taking some minutes beforehand to talk to us. We'll talk to you soon.
You bet. Thanks for having me.